more, you can get the luxury leather, and you can get the really nice sound system where you can hook your iPod up directly to it, right? So what they're saying is that the higher capacity battery increases the price, right? The standard battery, when it's fully charged, you can drive 76 miles. But the higher capacity battery lets you go 114 miles. So let's say if you want to drive to central New Jersey from New York, you can do it with the higher capacity battery. But you can't really do it with the standard battery, because it doesn't let you go that far before you need to charge it, right? But obviously, it increases the price significantly, almost, what is this, like $2,500, right? So he's saying that amount would buy a Honda CBR 1000RR, which is close to being a street legal racing bike. So over here, let me just write this off. So what he's saying is that this Honda model, right? This is like a big bike. This is like a bike that looks really nice. It's a regular bike. It's not an electric bike, right? But Honda is a very famous manufacturer. It's like when you think of like BMW, right? BMW is a famous manufacturer of cars. And just because the name is BMW, they can charge a higher price, right? So most people, when they buy BMWs, maybe you have to pay 20, 30, 40% more than you would pay for a Toyota or a Hyundai, right? Just because the name is so famous, right? It's like a luxury thing, right? So in that sense, Honda motorcycles are some of the best motorcycles in the world, right? So what they're saying is that this electric bike, $14,000 is with that money, I could buy this Honda model, right? Which I can drive to Chicago if I want to. It's not electric, right? So anytime I'm running low on fuel, I just go to a station, fill up the gas, and I'm going again. I can go maybe much faster. It's a bigger bike. It looks nicer, right? So what he's saying is close to being a street legal racing bike. So racing isn't like, street legal is, once again, it's a term that you're not going to see too often. But street legal means like basically something that, it's, what he's trying to say that is that it's really fast. But Honda, normally anything that's electric cars, you can't go that fast, right? Maybe you can drive it at maybe 110, 120 kilometers per hour, but that's like the top speed. Now, your average Toyota Camry can go to 200 kilometers per hour, right? But it's a non-electric car. So what he's saying is that for the same amount of money, you could buy this thing that's way higher quality. And that's a problem. That's a problem even now, in 2012, for people who are trying to sell these electric bikes, right? Pedro, could you read the next two paragraphs, please?
Of course, riders interested in electric motorcycles are not cross-shopping superbikes, but the Zero's prime premium could hurt sales. Still, the simple joy of riding the Zero could be as big as a selling point as its potential fuel savings. In many ways, its design and the way it rides are throwbacks to the minimalism and excitement of early motorcycles that drew so many people into riding decades ago.
Okay, so the first paragraph is interesting, right? The first one he's saying, of course, riders interested in electric motorcycles, right? People who are interested in electric motorcycles, they're not cross-shopping superbikes, right? That means that if you're someone who's interested in electric motorcycles is generally, they're only interested in electric motorcycles, right? They're not thinking about these big bikes. The last class we were talking about, if you're walking around in the city, right? You guys have heard those giant bikes that people ride. They make this really bad sound, right? And it hurts your ears almost if you're walking around. It's really it disturbs people, right? So these people who are interested in electric bikes, they're not really thinking about buying these super bikes, right? They're looking at electric bikes for other reasons. So what he's saying now is the simple joy of riding the Zero, right? Just riding it feels really good. Could be as big a selling point as its potential fuel savings. What's the biggest thing that people say when you're riding an electric car? What do you save on? Gas, right? Gas. Because you don't have to fill it up. Or you have to fill it up once a month or something, right? You're just charging it all the time, right? You just drive it home, you plug it in, and it's charging overnight, right? You don't have to worry about gas. But whereas for a regular car, I have to fill up once a week, once every 3-4 days if you're driving a lot, right? So that's something that you save money on. If you calculate the amount of money that you spend in 1 year on gas, if you drive a car, it's a lot of money, especially if you drive a lot, right? So one of the biggest advantages, right, of buying an electric motorcycle or an electric car is that you don't have to worry about that expense anymore, right? So what he's saying is that it feels so good that that is also a big advantage, right? So, you know, he's saying that, you know, just the feeling, right? The feeling, right, of riding and the fuel savings. You know, when you're saving money, right? Savings are big advantages, right? This is stuff that, you know, you can basically just say immediately, why do you want to buy an electric car? Well, you know, fuel savings, that's the big one. Right? But he's saying in this case, it also just feels really good, right? You know, it feels great when you're riding it, right? It's got a great feel that he talks about earlier, right? And then he's saying, in many ways, it's designed, right? The way that it's designed, and the way it rides, the feeling that you get when you ride it, are throwbacks. In this case, a throwback means something, right? You guys have heard the term nostalgia, right? In Japanese, it's like natsudashi, right? It's like it reminds you of the past, right? Throwback is something nostalgic. Nostalgic, right? You know, in the beginning, what he's saying is that when motorcycles first were introduced to consumers, right? Why do you think people wanted to buy motorcycles in the beginning? Minsu? Why do you think people... In the beginning, there were cars, right? Motorcycles didn't come first. In the beginning, there were cars. Motorcycles came after cars, right? Why do you think people would be interested in riding a motorcycle? Think about it.
You don't have to get a traffic jam where you can ride in high speed and with the windy.
Yeah, it feels great, right? I mean, you get it feels exciting. You know, like when you're sitting in a car, 60 miles per hour is actually really fast, right? But when you're sitting in a car, right, you don't really feel it, or you're just kind of sitting there. But when you're in a motorcycle and you're riding at like 60, 65 miles per hour, it feels like you're flying. It feels really, really good. And also the fact that, you know, if you guys have ever driven on the highway, right? You know how like motorcycles can just go in between cars and you're never stuck in traffic, right? You're just kind of going in between, you're just crossing a little bit this way, crossing a little bit that way, right? It's great. That's why motorcycles were first popular, because it's really small, it feels great, and I can get to the same place. If I have to drive 2 hours, I can get to the same place in a motorcycle that you guys are going in a car. Of course, I can take maybe one passenger. I can take like my wife or like my brother with me or something like that, right? But even then, it's just great. So what he's saying is over here, it's a throwback because it feels nostalgic. It's something in the past, right? It's a minimalism, right? Once again, this is another word that's like kind of rare, but it's good for you guys to know. And what I want you to do, and this is going to be part of like your homework, but you know, obviously I want you guys to go back and look up the meanings of these words, both in your native languages, in Korean and in Japanese, right? I want you guys to look up the meanings, but also to look them up in English, right? The exact meaning. I want you to go to like the dictionary. So like just go to an online dictionary and find them, right? And just make note of it, right? So minimalism in this sense means that in the past, there was a focus on selling the motorcycle because one of the things is because it's small, right? You don't have to worry about traffic. You know, and it's much more fuel efficient. You know, the smaller something is. So do you think a big car, do you think a big car takes more fuel or less fuel to go the same distance? More fuel, right? Why? Because fuel, it has to pull, right? It's heavy, right? But, you know, the smaller something gets, the more fuel efficient it is, right? So, you know, minimalism basically means it's efficient, right? Efficiency in this case. And efficiency in all ways. It's small, it's light, it's fuel efficient, right? It doesn't need as much fuel. You don't need to take care of it. Like you can go get a car, every 3 or 4 months you have to take it to the garage and they have to do an oil change. They have to check the brakes and stuff like that. But a motorcycle is just, you know, you take it to the garage once or twice a year, you don't need anything else, right? It's really simple. So all of those things, this word basically shows all of those things, the minimalism, right? Of earlier motorcycles that drew so many people into riding decades ago. Right? Motorcycles were really, really popular. They're much more popular now, I mean, in the past, in the 60s and the 70s. Right? You see, like, once again, when you watch movies, you see all these scenes of, these guys riding motorcycles and stuff. They were much more popular then. Nowadays, like, it's not as popular as it used to be, right? But that's what it's saying, that, decades ago, people used to ride them a lot more. Quinn, could you read the final sentence, please?
While I consider that my next new car will probably be electric, a battery-powered motorcycle in some ways will be a better.
Right. So it's a nice way of, like, ending the article, isn't it? So he's saying, while I tell people that my next new car will probably be electric. So the author is obviously interested in electric vehicles in general, right? A battery-powered motorcycle, in some ways, would be a better fit. And what he means fit over here, when you think of the word fit, what do you think?
Slim.
Right. But when you think like this coat fits well, right? That means that it's like kind of like, it's like your measurements, right? It's as if the person who made the coat, right, made it for you. It's like they measured something, right? Like a suit, right? If a suit has a really good fit, right? So what he's saying is that for his lifestyle, after riding the Zero S for the first time, and he's thinking about his lifestyle, right? He's thinking that, this motorcycle might be a better fit for me, for my lifestyle. So the same way that you think of clothes when you think of something fitting very well, it's also like your life is also kind of like that, right? Like for instance, like, you might think that, I think I have offers from 2 companies, right? But I think I'm going to work for this, I think I'm going to work for, the first company because I think they're a better fit. And what you mean by that is when you think about every single day, I'm going to go into the office, when you think of the people that you're going to work with, right? When you think of how long it takes you to get there, when you think of the work that you'll be doing, it feels like it's something that you would enjoy, right? It's something that fits with your life, right? That's why this word fit basically means it's ideal. You've probably seen this word before. Ideal basically means it's kind of like perfect for you, right? It's perfect for his lifestyle. That's what the author is saying because, he was kind of surprised. He didn't expect it to be powerful. He didn't expect it to have a good feel. But apparently, the Zero S is a great motorcycle, which is why he feels this way, right? Okay, so great. We went through that article, and as I mentioned to you last time, we're going to do a really fun exercise now. It's like 7:40. So we have about like 20 minutes before our first break. So let's do a little bit of a fun exercise together. I want us to kind of come up with ideas for designing a television commercial advertising the Zero S motorcycle. Okay? So the first part about this is I want you to think, who do you think is the audience? Who do you think would want to buy the Zero S? Let's think about it. Minsu, what type of person do you think would want to buy the Zero S?
People who ride bike.
Okay, the people who you think would like to ride bikes, right? Shin, what do you think? Imagine. Just imagine. Think about it. Man, right? Yeah, that's a fair point, right? So, let's say the first one is going to be motorcycle lovers, right? People who like motorcycles, right? Right? So, Shin, it's a pretty good point. Much more guys ride motorcycles than girls, right? It's probably men. Toru, any ideas? Think about it.
The majority would be rich people.
Right, that's a good one, right? So like wealthy. Pedro.
I would say young adults around the young.
Okay, yeah, that's a good one. Young adults. Okay. Correct?
Live in countries.
Live in cities, right? Excellent, that's a great point. I was going to bring this up. I wanted to see if you guys could come up with this. This is good. Because one of the things, well, let's see. Let's just call it like living in cities, right? So what do you notice about this? Living in cities. Okay. What do you notice about all of these things? Does something jump out at you guys?
It's all related to the city. I mean,
More than that,